Hello, hello.
Happy when you and I are doing this together, I'm always like I'm gonna sort of like let you go through the door first, and I realize I should probably stay consistent. Welcome to Second Lap. Uh, I'm Rob. I'm here with Ronnie, and we're gonna talk lessons learned in walking around the world once. We just basically passed the 1.5 times mark, I believe, 37,058 miles as I'm speaking now, and just growing every step. Uh, but yeah, talk about lessons learned. Ronnie and I've talked through a lot of stuff. So if this is your first episode, please go listen to a bunch of the earlier ones with the two of us, where we really talk about what we're after, which is to share knowledge as we, I don't know, are we mini petri dishes? We're science projects in work, right?
Yeah, we're everybody's guinea pig trying out a bunch of different stuff to see what works. And hopefully, people try something that'll make their life better. I think that's kind of the whole onus of all of this is we want to help people. And this is the way that we're trying to get that out.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and this is completely. I mean, we didn't even talk about this before. I'm curious in all of the things as we go along. I would love to sort of in the background always sort of understand, is there a placebo effect to any of what we could be testing, what we're doing? And as a gnomon, is it gnomon, yeoman, whatever it was, before I knew what that meant, I always thought meant, you just didn't know. But um yeah, is this something that we just don't know about, or you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I think so. And at least partly in me being a marketer, and I'm failing my own advice of doing like A/B testing. Like, how do you know if something is working when you're trying 8 different things? And so, I think that's part of all of this too is knowing what specifically works and what doesn't when you're experimenting with a bunch of different things, and that's can be helpful or not helpful. So
Are you logging this? Do you have like a spiral binder, or are you doing it on your computer? Are you, as a guinea pig? Are you okay? So you do, yeah. Me, old
I
school, same way.
somewhat, I think, at least recently, at least this year, I'm trying to track more or less like workouts. I haven't really gotten into tracking the specifics of all of the different things that I'm trying. I think it's kind of just housed of like, okay, this is working, this didn't seem to help, I'm gonna bounce around with these different products. And I like I've
Yeah, I've seen you bow like on the, was it the energy shots? Like you said, hey, was it? Do you think it was because you put them in the fridge too far away to grab, or were they just literally not giving you anything?
they like it was the magic mind. I think for some people it might help, and maybe it's my own, like I didn't notice anything, and some of the ingredients I wasn't like super pleased with. Like, and
Okay.
granted, it's like all natural, but I think one of the ones like the L-thiamine, which could be something good, but it's something I always remember seeing like in a Monster or energy drink, and I was just like, I don't know if this is something that's really benefiting me to be doing every single day to try to replace coffee when
Right.
yeah, coffee could be replaced with like mud water or rise and some of those other mushroom ones that I think you've mentioned, AG1.
Have
But
you tried any of them? Any
I
alternatives yet?
I've bought them and I've tried them for like a day or two. I just it's hasn't gotten into the mix of the routine. And then they
Okay.
sit there in the cabinet, and I just am like, well, let's just get rid of these because they're just taking up space for all my spices. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're beneficial to some people. It just wasn't for me. And that's part of like what we said of being guinea pigs. It's like, I'm going to try something. I would hope somebody else, if they've had good or bad experiences, would either comment or let me know, shoot me a message and just say,
Right.
hey, this did work for me, but maybe they shouldn't be chilled in the fridge. And, or you need to take it after the workout or something along those lines. So I think it's different for everybody, but
Okay.
I want to share my experience with it so that someone can be a little more informed.
Right.
Excuse me.
Uh, The other one, so the next one on the list, at least as I'm going down to my head, the one that I would say I sent you a couple of we like most friends communicate through memes and through Instagram stories and reels. And I think we were sharing, and I shared with you the one that gave a 10 out of 10 for sauna and a 3 out of 10 for cold plunge. And your response is really what I wanted to dig into. So I have the same cold plunge and I've talked about doing it and I've watched these and I listened and your response was, but I feel like it's a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? That's what you're like, this is what it's doing for me. Is that a good way for me to, I should just let you answer for yourself instead of trying to answer for you. That's what I took from you.
I think it's, as far as what data anybody or any doctors kind of come across, I totally understand them saying that it's not beneficial, but I think it's more, for me, it is that cup of coffee, if I, or the soreness reduction that I'm noticing when I'm running. I used to, and I did mention it, I think the last day or two ago when I went in, I did some lunges and my hamstrings have been super sore, but I haven't done those in so long.
Right.
And I did 3 sets with weights just to kind of do leg day. And going into the plunge, I think has definitely helped me from in the past in my 20s. And maybe it's because of my diet. I feel like I would have been laying on my bed complaining and being like, oh man, my legs are so sore. But yet I think with the cold plunge, and maybe it's just mental, that I'm like, hey, this helped.
Right.
It could be the jug of water that I'm now drinking in the morning. And it's all of these things that I can't say specifically that, yeah, this cold plunge is, you should be doing it. And my mom was one that kind of had some questions. She's like, I'm not against it, but she had some questions. And I think that's the
Right.
thing with a lot of people is, why are you doing this, especially in extreme cold? And I think, at least for me too, was I might be dealing with congestion and stuff, and maybe me going outside in the water isn't helping get rid of it faster.
Right.
So I think there's definitely valid cases to everybody's point. But for me, I've noticed a benefit. I'm not doing it every single day. I think that's the other part of it too. I've seen guys, and we all get sucked into, oh, the social media guys are doing this every day, 2,000
Right.
days in a row. And it's like, no, you got to do it at your own pace, what feels right for you. I mix in the sauna. I'm not posting me going in the sauna every day or doing
Right.
this, that, or my runs all the time. I think there's benefits to the shock value of me going into ice, which is going to be good for content wise.
Right.
And so I think, but it also helps too, as far as just the mental thing for me. It's, if I go into a tub of ice, that's the worst thing I'm going to do today. And so to me, I think it kind of gives that perspective of being like, you can handle dealing with a client or dealing with a crazy 7-year-old because you've
Right.
already gotten dunked in the ice, and that's the worst thing that you could possibly do today. So for me, it's much more mental and getting like over the hump of kind of dealing with anything.
So as opposed to heat shock proteins and other things, that is probably why you're seeing the 10 out of 10 on the sauna side. Um, do you? So the only question I really have about the cold plunge, I like your style. I like, hey, I'm not trying to, do this every day, and I'm not in competition with anybody. I think the struggle, or not the struggle, the question I have is, everybody, including David Goggins, who says he'll sit there and sometimes stare at his MF and shoes for 30 minutes before he puts them on. Every there's a certain resistance, friction, obstacle, whatever you want to call it, that you're going to observe anytime that you do this. And how do you, how do you choose your days so it doesn't feel like your days are chosen by the days that you weren't strong enough to get in, versus I'm doing it because this is my my routine? Does that make sense? The question I'm trying to ask.
I think so. Like, why do I, there is always a resistance to going in. I think
Yes.
every day I don't want to do it. Like my brain is fighting me of going in there. But then I also, like I've always talked about, I think there's two parts of your brain that you're fighting with, and whether it's your body's kind of, we don't want to go into that water. Like
Right.
there's no way. But I think it's also, uh, as soon as I put on the swim trunks or I set the camera out, it's like, all right, it's already done. Like I have to go do this kind of thing.
Right.
And so
Right.
it's no different with any other kind of fear. If you're sitting at the edge of doing I was going to say paratrooper, skydiving, like you're at the
Yep.
edge of the plane, like there is no going back. Like whoever
Right.
you're with is going to jump. So you got to do it. And I
Yep.
think that's part of it too. But I've also mentioned it's the day before, like the night before, I've already envisioned myself doing it. So then when I wake up, and if I don't think about doing, whether it's like writing blogs or doing this other work or taking Jack out for different things, you have to
Right.
have that plan and you've already visualized yourself doing it. So then it's already easier when you're at that point of that decision of like, hey, I'm not going to do this when you've already decided couple 12 hours ago or the night before that this is what you were going to do. It's no different with someone going for a run. Like you've set your shoes out, you've got everything ready and prepared, you have no excuses. And so that's, I think, part of what goes into me just being like, all right, this is it, let's go.
I think you answered the question, which is you're preparing and prepped beforehand. And so if you were to, David Goggins, you were to wuss out, you would be looking at your camera, already sitting there in front of the tub, and you'd be like, okay, so you would know, like, that's what I'm saying. And I get that. So it's much different than, hey, tomorrow's a day I'm doing the sauna and we're going for a run or whatever. There's a whole other thing as opposed to changing at the last minute.
Yeah. And I also, I think after the first one, you realize it's not as bad as you think. I think anybody who's sitting there watching me do it, there's like, oh, there's no way. And yes, it sucks as soon as you get in. And like when I'm down there, I'm holding my fingers and my toes get cold. But like if I'm thinking, and I've mentioned this too, it's like your mind is so crazy that if I have a coherent thought or something that I want to say, I'm so focused on trying not to mumble or mix something up when I'm talking that I completely forget about the cold. And then I realize my mom's like, that was one of the longest ones you've done. And it's like, really? And I go and look and it's, oh yeah, that was 3 minutes I was in there. It felt like 20 seconds because I
Right.
just bowled through whatever I needed to talk to, which distracted myself from the pain receptors. So I think,
Sure.
again, it's another one of those, like thinking about what's going on doesn't make you think about what you're currently dealing with, even if you're sitting in ice. So
Sure. Sure. Quick question from one of the audience members, or at least one I'm envisioning. Is it easier to get, I can make this shit up on the fly. This is our show.
I went and looked at the comments. I'm like, did somebody say something?
I know. I know. I was trying to do like a Ron Burgundy kind of funny thing, and I'm laughing at my own jokes. The problem I have is I have ADD, and so I'll forget what I was trying to bring up the whole time. One of our audience members that I just made up asked, "Is it easier to get in to the cold fresh out of the sauna? Like, is that something that makes it easier?" I'm just wondering, is there any hacks that make somebody that's wanting to do this and getting to the point where they've had that realization, as you said, once you've done it once, you're like, okay, I already know how bad it's going to be. Does the sauna
I
help?
I can't say either way. It feels the same. I think because I've done it after a run. I think elevating your heart rate and getting like your body heat up might be beneficial. I haven't noticed a big difference. For me, it's the
Okay.
preparation and planning of, all right, I've got a towel set down that I'm going to walk onto. I have another towel that's ready to put on me as soon as I walk in the door. And so then that way it's like, as soon as I'm inside, I'm already warming up. And I know that thought is coming once I'm sitting in there. And as soon as I get up, I'm like, okay, I've got all this stuff ready. Whereas if you
Right.
just went out and did it, and then you're sitting there freezing, trying to get in, and you're like, oh no. I think those are the things that kind of take away if someone's trying to do it another time. And I've mentioned before, I think I posted about it too. The second one of anything is always hard because you know, like what especially like of a run or a workout, is the first one's always good, but a lot of times people do it too hard or unprepared, and then
Right.
they stop doing that second one, or they never go back to the gym, or they don't go out for that second run because they're so ridiculously sore for 3 days, or like, enough of that, like I'm not doing that again. And
Right.
so I think having that planning in place to set yourself up to make sure that you don't have those negative feelings or thoughts when you come out like, oh man, that was awful. So I think there's something to that, but I haven't noticed a big, it's nice knowing that the sauna is ready afterwards to know I can go downstairs and jump in there. But typically, as soon as I like the feeling of getting that warmth back in your body. You can feel it
Okay.
moving through you. And I think that's part of the high or the cold shock, kind of whatever it is that people get that high from, is
Right.
as soon as you walk inside the door, you can feel like the blood flow, like warming yourself up. And that itself, I think, is a drug. And you're like, oh, I just want that feeling again, to know that I'm alive, kind of deal.
Warm blood. I'm not a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so the shots are out. You're doing the deal. You've been doing treadmill and walking jack and walking around the park. How many have you been tracking? How many steps are you going to average now that you're back to school?
I wish I knew. I ditched my
Okay.
Apple Watch just because again, another one of my crazy things. I didn't want something pulsing on me all day. I started noticing like whatever it was that on the back of the Apple Watch, I started having a mark on my wrist. And so a part of me was like,
Okay.
I don't really like that. I don't know what it's doing. Whether like all of a sudden in like 10 years, I'm going to have like a single skin cancer spot or something. So I
Right.
ditched the watch last year and just went to a regular one. But I was thinking on my walk back, I need to go. I used to use, I think it was USA Track and Field's like run tracker, where you could go onto
Okay.
like a Google map and figure it out. So I need to go and do that. I think like today I ran 2.25, and then I think I walked maybe a mile and a half, and then I'll
Okay.
go pick them up, and that's probably about maybe a mile, I think. So it
Okay.
probably was like 2 miles this morning on the walk. So I wish I had a tracker, but to me in my mind, it's like I know I'm doing it. I don't think, and it's anti you of like I don't need to see the steps of just knowing that I'm putting them in. Um, but I think there's definitely a benefit to some people if you're in competition with yourself and wanting to outdo the day before. But to me, it's like I just want to put the work in to me, and I know I'm going to go out and do it versus needing to know how many specific steps I did. My phone tracks it, but I know it's not nearly what it could be or is.
Right. Right. I always say the accuracy is not probably is pinpoint, but it's not that big of a deal. I think I got, hey, I get the bug. I was going to do this walk around the circumference. So I really, was anal and, would not have a freak out session. But if I found myself away from the house and moving and my Fitbit was still in the shower, it drove me nuts. So I understand that side of it. I think I've listened to even Peter Attia lately. I think he said something about trackers. As long as you don't let them give you anxiety, like you use them for information. So I was going to say, I've grown through all of the, it's Wednesday at noon, so the sirens are going off. Um, I've been through all of the different zones of that. And I feel, quite honestly, I feel that I like the visibility of what I'm doing because I think it brings credibility. It brings
Absolutely.
credibility in longevity. That's why I'm still wearing a tracker. If it wasn't for that, if it was not for that, I would take it off. And I have a story, but I'm sorry I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, that's why I like having I think it's the iFit app through the Nordic Track, so I can track like my workouts on the treadmill. So then at least I do have something to kind of go back and look at, like, okay. And for me right now, it's been the fact that I'm not stopping and walking during a run. I think that's the progression. I think with a lot of people, it's like they'll get hung up on trying to hit 10,000 steps or trying to do something. And again, this
Right.
goes back to, I think just doing something is better than that inaction because you feel like you're a failure or didn't accomplish the goals that you wanted to do. So I like having, I've always been a hybrid kind of person, whether it's digital and paper, however it might go. I think having a
Right.
little bit of both, but I think part of it's too, it's not having the anxiety of like, oh shoot, I missed like going out for that walk. And to me, it doesn't bother me. I know my body knows I put the work in.
Yeah.
It wasn't something I needed to share. And I got picked on by one of my old high school friends. She'd always like, oh, make sure you post that run video all the time. And it's like, yeah, I get that I don't need to show every single run that I'm doing. But to me, it was, I'd hope that somebody would get inspired because I would see
Yeah.
people walking or running and thinking, I got to go back home and get my running shoes on.
Yes, I get it. I understand it. I know that the times that I wasn't wearing this, I still got the miles. You know, I've made peace, and as I said, I think for me, it's I look forward to ending the second lap and having to negotiate for third lap dot eth or whatever it is that we'll need in order to, or maybe I should go secure that now, because we're only 5 years away from needing that intellectual property.
Yeah,
Okay, so
this is a part of a goal. So that's why it
yeah,
makes sense for you to keep it tracking and battling with Fitbit the way that you did the last few months.
thank you. Yes, I was going to say I'm trying to I'm moving forward. The numbers I'm giving you are based on the best evidence I have moving forward. I'm within a couple of miles either way, and there's hundreds of miles over the 10 years that exactly what I described. I would go for a walk, I'd take a shower, I'd hang the thing up there because they're not supposed to be waterproof at the same time. Or I'm sorry, they're supposed to be able to be showered with. I've had two that have broken over time with water. So I take it off, and as I said, hundreds of miles that I've walked that this thing wasn't on my wrist. And so I was going to say a positive. I was going to give a positive shout out. I do want to say, hey, if there's other things that you're doing right now that I didn't bring up that we should talk about, let's talk about it. I really quickly was going to talk about my tracker started to alert me back in July to I would have a feeling in my chest, and this is a public service announcement, and it's a call for you to talk to your parents if you still have that ability. And what I mean by that is, so I started having these feelings in my chest, and my Fitbit would tell me that I was having a very fast heart rate. And you'd say, Gramps, you've been walking for 10 years. Why would you have a fast heart rate? And I'd say, hey, this was me laying down on the couch. Like I'm laying down on the couch and my heart rate would shift from 70 to 145. I, like most men in most people's lives, am strong and invincible and, have watched 4 kids be born, so know how to do Lamaze breathing. And I did all sorts of things. And at the end of the day, what really freaked me out was when it started to actually go the other way. So I was getting like a 39 beats per minute when I was asleep. So it was going really, really, really low, which with all my walking, you would think, oh, hey, that's great. But in a couple of evenings while I was out and asleep, it recorded me having swings from 40 to 170 beats per minute, variation over minutes, over 5 hours in an evening. I'd wake up, I would have no idea. So one of my really good friends, who Brian, this morning actually said, and I'm going to quote Brian, Fitbit might have saved your life. I wasn't really, anyway, so it's telling me these things, and I finally went to the emergency room, and they tested me and checked me and did a bunch of stuff. And I went and saw a cardiologist, and they did a bunch of stuff. And I went 3 weeks. I went 3 weeks between episodes, and probably hard to see in the shirt, and I'm trying to make sure that it's hard to see because it feels weird that I'm wearing this thing glued to my chest. But I'm wearing a real time, when technology's gotten this good, a real time monitor that's on my chest, and then it's connected to a phone in my pocket. And if something happens, I'm supposed to hit the button on there that says, "Hey, something's happening." Well, on Sunday, it happened, and I pushed the button because I was basically, I think I've shared, I take little rest naps every once in a while. You lay down, take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I laid down and I started having that feeling I was telling you about in my chest. And I rolled my wrist over, and my heart rate was 145 beats per minute. And I was laying down and was breathing. And so I pressed the button, and long story long, the doctor called me the next day and he's like, "Hey, I think you're aware of this," since I had to push the button that said alert. Anyways, "And I think you're aware of this, but we saw this yesterday, and you have afibrillation. You have the situation where your heart is beating faster." And I need to do more research. Uh, where I was going with this is I'm 53 years old, 94 days away from 54. Just figured that out as I was prepping for this call. I don't know where I come up with my ideas, but um, when I got out of the emergency room, I called my parents to share with them, "Hey, just wanted to let you know this has been going on since July. It's very, very erratic. Not really sure. I just been 4 hours in the ER. I had a 129 over 69 and 63, pulse for 4 hours straight." And they're looking at me like, "Are you really? Show me the screenshots of what Fitbit said again." So I tell my parents all this, and my dad says, "I have AFib. I've been taking medication for it for 20 years." My dad is 20 years older than me and a month to like the day. And I got the same shit he has 20 years later. He's like a barometer for me. I just have to watch him and say, "Okay, it's going to happen." My point to this, the two things is, hey, the trackers may not be a bad thing. They are checking certain things. And if you allow the anxiety not to be like, as you said, shit, I could have did whatever. If you can get past that, give yourself grace that every day isn't going to be a day. It's like when I did my circumference walk, I originally said I'm going to walk 12 miles a day. And I did 3 months, like a restaurant, a soft opening. And after 3 months, I had failed probably 40 out of 90 days. And I found that I could do 84 a week every week because it didn't matter. I could do 16 on one day and 10 on a different day and 12 on a different day and 8 on another day. And it could average out to the 84 I needed. But if I tried to do it 12 a day and I'm like, "Hey, this is whatever," I failed, almost half the time. So you got to use that to sort of figure it out. I don't really know or remember exactly the point I was trying to make, but it was interesting to
every day. I think that's kind of what you're going for.
Yeah, grace.
No, I wouldn't say it's funny, but my father had a similar issue. I remember it was like the first day of my freshman basketball practice. My mom like either called or I'm like, I might have had a phone back then in 97. My dad got brought, he was a general manager, was the general manager of like a health club. So he's super fit guy, ran all the time, was working out every single day. Still, I think he still does in his own way. But he had a similar thing, like his heart rate was so slow that they got alerted by it by just doing like a random check and brought him to the ER. Once the docs realized that he was a consistent runner, that he runs 3 miles every day, they're like, "Oh, your heart just when it's at a resting heart rate drops really low." And that's kind of what alerted and scared everybody. He didn't have the same issues or the fibrillation that you're talking about, but it was one of those things, at least for me, whenever I get stressed or something and I can feel my heart pounding, I think that's the biggest thing is I don't overnight sleeping. Yes, that would probably be beneficial to have some sort of a tracker, but at least for me, and I would hope that most people, like be honest with yourself when you don't feel right. Like, don't try to be the, oh, everything's fine, like I'm good, I'm a man. It's like, just be aware of your body and the issues that you have. Even if, like, if you have sore hamstrings like I do today, maybe don't do sprints across the field if you need to. So I think it's just a matter of paying attention to your body. And if you're so engulfed in your routine, and that was something I noticed too when I was driving a bunch, I clenched. And I think we
Yep.
talked about before, was I was just so stressed of dealing with these idiots on the road that I was just like chomping down.
All right.
And to realize, okay, if I'm in traffic dealing with that, like, do some jaw relaxing muscles to kind of loosen everything up, because otherwise I'm going to come home and I'm going to be so tight and
Yep.
tense. It's like, you just have to, in the moment, realize what your body's doing. So I think that's a big lesson to learn, but I think it's also smart to have monitors and checks. I have a blood pressure cuff in my bathroom that I, if I all of a sudden feel, and I haven't had the issue since I've lost a bunch of weight over the last year. That's when I got given that, was I was at the doctor and I had a really high blood pressure. And so it was one of those things I wanted to make sure I was checking on and being aware of. And I haven't noticed the same thing. Granted, I haven't put the cuff on probably in a few months, but I know that it's there. I probably should maybe do a weekly check at random times to see, hey, everything's working, like do a self-diagnostic and make sure that, hey, we're all functioning properly. Things are in the ranges that they need to be. And so, because I'm a few years younger than you, but to me, it's having these kind of talks and experiences with people who are older to know, like, hey, these are the things you probably should look out for, versus just being blind to it and thinking I'm going to be fine. Like, what are you talking about? But again, that's why I've kind of done the being the guinea pig for a bunch of different things.
I'm glad you said it, and I wasn't trying to lead the witness, but yes, don't be so manly that you don't survive. Like, go take care of yourself. Go in and um, I've been a person. I go regularly to the chiropractor. It was a general practitioner, and that's a whole nother story there. But yeah, I go in regularly. I'm always getting things checked in. And it's good to have baselines for most anything, so that if something does start to feel, as you said, if you're listening to your body and you do have a feeling, you can go in and they can say, okay, well, we've been testing this, and yeah, you're way out of whack with your potassium or whatever, something that I'm pulling out my mother-in-law had and was causing her not to be able to see so well. Um,
But the caveat
anyways,
I would say to that is also, don't listen to the commercials where they say for all the prescriptions, if you're feeling like this, make sure you're talking to your doctor about Zextrala and make sure that he prescribes that to you. Because I don't think that prescription medications, yes, they have their uses, but I don't think that it's something that you should just be running to try to go and check on. Are you eating healthy? Are you walking? Are you doing something that's going to help your body besides driving your car, sitting at your desk, like going home, watching TV, drinking your beer, eating fast food? Maybe change those up before getting on to any kind of prescription. I am no doctor, and I probably should put the tagline at the bottom that that's not any kind of specific advice. But I think taking those changes first and seeing if that helps. And that's, again, why we're doing all these different things to try to help people try different things. And I, to kind of wrap up what you had mentioned before of different products that I've tried H2 tabs, try getting some hydrogen in your water. I've
how has
started,
that worked?
I really like it. It's one of the things that I've rebought and have, I reordered a new pair. I think it's tasty. I get the raspberry.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't sit here. Again, I don't have any data of what it's doing to my molecular cell structure, but to me, I enjoy drinking it. It doesn't have like a bad taste. The one thing I will mention that I want to make sure that people are aware of is, since doing this parasite cleanse, which I think is probably the main reason for my congestion and the issues that I was having, was
Right.
I still stand by the cell core, but I also noticed on the bottle that it said like either do 2 weeks or a week at a time and then take a week off. And I stopped on Sunday taking the two pill protocol and the drops.
Right.
And I've progressively have gotten better since then. I'm still doing the binder. So in my head, and this is my own research, is thinking that I kind of got hit with the die-off system. If you've heard about parasites, as soon as you kill them, they're going to release all of their toxins, and then that's in your bloodstream, and you're going to start feeling sick. And so I think I kind of was hitting them way too hard, and too many of them were dying and releasing too much into my body. So I doubled up the binder. I actually probably need to run down and take it here after this. And so that's the binder binds to the heavy metal toxins, and then carries it out.
Okay.
So I think since I've stopped that, and I will probably restart next week and then see what happens, and hopefully that helps or decreases. But I definitely think it's, again, be aware of your body, like pay attention. Don't just think I'm going to power through this and just get through this protocol because I said I was going to do it. If you don't feel well, like change things, see what happens. I think, and we had joked about earlier with the foot pads that I tried. And that's one of those things where you put them on your feet. And because I did the old wives' tale of putting on like a cut onion, putting your feet in a plastic bag, and then put a sock over it, and that's how you sleep, or a potato. And
was that the weirdest shit at all? I mean, was that just kinky? What was that like to sit in bed with a bag and an onion on your foot?
It is weird. It's even weirder to walk around on it. What was really funny was the dog like kept jumping around trying to smell the onions. Didn't have the same effect with the potatoes, but she was sniffing all over the place trying to find the onions in the room.
That's funny.
I had done the potatoes in the past, and like when you look in the morning, the potatoes are totally discolored. And I didn't really notice it that much. I was like, okay, it's fine. And so I tried those Nubu. I'm sure I'm screwing that up. Those foot pads. And we were joking because yesterday I had taken it off and it smelled like beef jerky. And I was like, I had been eating a ton of beef jerky and thinking like, okay, this is ridiculous. The fact that I'm smelling what I'm eating is kind of outrageous. And so then last night I opened up the pack and realized that a brand new one smells just like beef jerky. And okay, so maybe it's not as much, but yet still was black, still the same color as it was the day before. So I think I'm gonna.
Is that a deal? Is that a deal? You take them until you take one off and it's clean?
I don't think so. I don't think we're ever going to be, especially living in America. Like there's plenty of kind of junk that's in our body that can get pulled out. I just know our feet are known to just absorb and hold on to stuff. It's funny. Sometimes if you ever sit there and especially after a run or something, your feet kind of do different things. I've seen stuff move around in my feet, or they just hold so much. A lot of times I think in some cultures, or I've heard where a lot of tapeworms, the eggs like absorb through your feet from people that are walking barefoot. And then that's how you get tapeworm and different things like that. And I'm not 100% correct on that, but
look it up, guys. We don't actually know anything about what we're talking about except our own personal experience.
I think our feet absorb so many different things that why wouldn't there be stuff that kind of just falls gravity-wise down to your feet? And if you can pull anything out of it, I think it's going to be some sort of a benefit to you. So it was a 10-pack that I bought for, I think, like $15. So I'm going to go through and see if all of a sudden I'm magically better, then I might buy another one, just like I did with the H2 tabs. So I think it's just like we've said, we're all guinea pigs. I think we all have our experience. The more that we kind of coordinate and converse with each other about our different experiences, it's going to help us kind of just have a better understanding of everyone's body, which in hope would help with your own body.
I agree. So two things I thought about while you were talking about that. Have you done the coconut oil pulling where you gargle it for 10 minutes in your mouth? Since you're doing the thing with your feet, are you doing that as well, or tried that?
Yeah, I have some in the bathroom right now. I just rebought a bottle. I had run out maybe a month or two ago, I think in the midst of the move. But yeah, that's one of the things I've become a big fan of. I like I think it's the new, I'm going to screw up what it is, but it comes with like a very soft bristle toothbrush, a tongue scraper, and it comes with the oil, the coconut pulling. And yeah, I do that now. I think one of the things I realized is I would brush before, and then do it. But then I read on the bottle, you're supposed to brush afterwards. So I think it's definitely something and granted, I don't have the best teeth. Granted, they're straight, but as far as I've got plenty of them removed in the back, so I can't say
Yeah,
that
me too.
I'm someone who's always followed what's best for your teeth, but I definitely like it. I wouldn't say it's enjoyable, but it's not something where I'm like gagging it and dealing with it. To me, it's in my mind, I think it's beneficial from the stuff and everything that I've read. And that's
Yep.
the biggest part. If you think it's beneficial, that's what's most important, because your thoughts make up so much. And if you can convince your brain that something is good, then it's probably going to make it good. So that's kind of how I've always viewed things. And if you think it's bad, chances are your brain's going to make it bad. So it's just your perspective on things as you go forward.
Yep. Just like the morning mantra and starting the day, and you are your loudest voice.
Yep.
Is the loudest. You are the loudest voice in your own head.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything that you have, because we talked a little bit about the sauna. I've seen some videos. Are you doing like 20 minutes in there at a certain temperature? We didn't ask about that. What's your protocol for the sauna?
The sauna, I want it as hot as possible. I use it on the highest setting, and
Okay.
it's hard for me to want to leave after a half an hour. If I could just take a nap in there, I would. I love the sauna. And granted, mine's more a steam room sauna. I'm looking at getting like one of the wooden ones at some point. But like I mentioned, my dad was at a health club. I used to love going in the sauna and the steam rooms when I was younger. And to me, I feel like there's such a huge benefit to it of just sweating out, again, getting stuff out of your body. And granted, it might not smell the best, but that, at least in my head, it's like I'm getting that much junk out of me. And so to me, that's only a benefit. And that's immediately either take a cold plunge or go shower and do different stuff. Don't just let that stuff sit on you and reabsorb back into your body. So I wouldn't suggest anybody doing more than a half an hour. I think kind of the protocol would be about 20 minutes. I don't actually have like a temperature gauge in there to say like, hey, it's at 160 or whatever it might be. I've started adding, I just bought some eucalyptus drops to kind of put in so that you can get some sort of better smell that kind of is in there. You can get other ones too, whether it's rosemary or whatever it might be. I would definitely suggest something along those lines to just for your own like enjoyment and pleasure of being in there.
Yeah, for sure. So, and like you said with the toothbrush, just take a shower afterwards. I mean, it's okay.
Exactly.
Happy Wednesday. I hope the rest of your days goes well. My house is right behind me. I'm gonna go take a shower.
Yeah, sounds good. And thanks for everybody that joined. And I will drop a little thing. Make sure you guys go and check out all of our social medias. We're trying to post more. We think Robbie should be in everybody's stream, at least kind of the motivational stuff. And we're finding more walkers. Zach, I see you out walking every day. And if you're out walking, we want to find you and hopefully join in this whole procession of trying to get better. And so we definitely want to help everybody, and we see you guys out there.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I appreciate you all. Thanks, Ronnie. Guys, take care.
Till next time.
Till next time.